I never thought a Saturday morning garage sale could ruin my life. But that's what happened when I found the game. It was wedged between a stack of dusty puzzles and a torn Monopoly box, almost like it was hiding. The woman running the sale was old, ancient really, her face hidden beneath a black lace veil. She never said a word, just watched me with eyes I couldn't see. The board itself looked like polished obsidian, perfectly black, no title or markings except for a single phrase etched into the center. Roll to begin. I don't know what made me want it so badly. Maybe it was boredom, maybe it was the woman's silence, or maybe it was the way the morning sunlight seemed to avoid the game, leaving it unnaturally dark, even as everything else glowed. "$1, the old woman croaked when I brought it to her table. Her voice was papery, thin, like dry leaves rubbing together. I handed over the money, and she dropped the game into a paper bag. Her skeletal fingers brushed mine, ice cold, and I swear I heard her whisper something. It was too quiet to catch. I looked up, but she was already turning away, vanishing into the shadows of her garage. I should have walked away then. I should have left the game in the bag, maybe even tossed it in the nearest dumpster. But that night, when Mom was working late and the house felt empty, I took it out. I sat cross-legged on the living room floor, the board between my knees. There were no spaces, no words except roll to begin. It felt heavy, like it didn't belong in my world. I found 2 small dice inside the box. They were old, carved from something that looked like bone. My fingers trembled as I shook them in my palm. The room felt colder than before, the shadows thicker. I glanced at the clock. 10:17 p.m. I rolled. The dice clattered across the board. As they settled, 3 and 4, the black surface began to ripple like liquid. Letters bubbled up, white and jagged, until they formed a space in front of me. Face what you stole. My breath caught in my throat. Stole? The word felt like a punch to the gut. I hadn't thought about it in years, but when I was 8, I'd pocketed a toy car from a friend's house. It had been stupid, a shiny red Mustang I couldn't resist. I'd buried it in my closet and lied when my friend asked about it. Eventually I forgot, but the second the words appeared, something moved in the darkness beyond the hallway. I heard a faint metallic rattle, like tiny wheels skittering across wood. Then came the whisper, "Thief, thief, thief." My skin crawled. I forced myself to stand, heart hammering. The shadows on the walls shifted, lengthened. From the end of the hall, a red glint flashed. 2 tiny headlights. The toy car I'd stolen rolled out, its paint chipped, wheels squeaking. It moved on its own. I backed up, tripping over the board. The car stopped inches from my toes. I could see my reflection in its cracked windshield. Wide eyes, pale face. The board pulsed. A new message seared into the surface. Collect what you owe. My bedroom door slammed shut by itself upstairs. Something thudded inside my room. Soft, deliberate footsteps. But I was alone in the house. Or at least I thought I was. I grabbed the game and crept upstairs, every stair groaning like it might give way. My bedroom door was locked, even though I never locked it. I pounded on it, calling out, but no one answered. The temperature dropped sharply. Frost crept across the doorframe, cracking the wood. The handle turned by itself, slowly, creaking open. Darkness spilled from the room like ink, and something moved inside. I stepped in, clutching the board like a shield. My posters flapped on the walls as if in a storm. My bed covers writhed. Then I saw it, the toy car, now the size of a real car, its headlights bright red, parked in the middle of my room. Smoke poured from its hood. The driver's side door swung open with a groan. A voice, thin and cold, whispered from inside, "Pay the debt." I stumbled backward, the board buzzing in my hands. The dice jumped from the board, rolling by themselves. They landed, 6 and 6. The game's surface roared with new letters. Double trouble. Invite another player or lose twice. I didn't understand. The words blurred, then sharpened. Invite or perish. I thought of Maya, my best friend since 2nd grade. She was smart, brave, braver than me. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and called her. She picked up on the 3rd ring. I begged her to come over, voice cracking. She thought I was joking at first, but something in my tone must have convinced her. She agreed. 20 minutes later, she arrived, panting from the run over. The second she stepped inside, the front door slammed shut behind her. The lights flickered. The board wrote a new message as if welcoming her. Welcome, player 2. Maya's eyes widened. She tried to bolt, but the shadows wrapped around her ankles, pulling her to the living room floor. The dice rolled by themselves again, stopping at 5 and 2. The words bled across the board. Reveal what you hide. Maya's face drained of color. Her eyes glistened with tears. I can't, she whispered. The board pulsed red. Shadows stretched from the corners of the room, whispering her name. Then they hissed. Cutter, Cutter, Cutter. She let out a strangled cry, pulling up her sleeve to show fresh bandages I hadn't known about. The air thickened. A figure emerged from the shadows, a distorted copy of Maya, face pale, wrists bleeding, eyes hollow. It reached for her. I lunged, pushing the board between them. The board glowed, absorbing the figure into its surface. The shadows retreated, but the game's message shifted again. One must sacrifice. Maya looked at me, eyes wild. What does it want? She screamed. I didn't know. I only knew it was hungry. Hungry for pain, fear, and secrets. We rolled again, desperate to move forward. The dice bounced across the board. The words emerged. Enter the gallery of regret. Without warning, the living room vanished around us, replaced by a vast marble hall stretching into darkness. Paintings lined the walls. Each showed moments we wished we could forget. Me stealing the toy car, Maya crying alone in her bathroom, and worse, moments we never shared with each other. The air smelled like mildew and rotting paper. Each step forward pulled us deeper into our own memories. Portraits whispered, liar, worthless, coward. We tried not to look, but the paintings moved, twisting into grotesque parodies of ourselves. The board floated ahead of us, glowing faintly. Dice hovered beside it. We had no choice but to roll. The result, 4 and 3. The paintings ripped themselves from the walls, stepping into our path like living nightmares. One of them, my father, but with empty eye sockets, reached for me. His mouth opened impossibly wide, emitting a scream that made my bones shake. I ran, pulling Maya behind me. The marble floor cracked under our feet, revealing an abyss swirling with shadows. We leaped, landing on a floating tile from the board. The game's words pulsed beneath our feet. Advance by sacrifice. The floating tile we landed on wobbled above the swirling darkness. I could feel the board's heartbeat through the soles of my shoes, each pulse vibrating with a hunger that seeped into my bones. The dice floated above the board's surface, spinning faster and faster until they slammed down with a crack that echoed like thunder. They showed 5 and 1. Letters formed instantly beneath us. The maze of secrets. The abyss around us twisted and contracted, solidifying into towering stone walls streaked with black veins. The air smelled of mold and old blood. Flickering lanterns ignited along the walls, revealing a labyrinth that seemed to stretch forever. A distant howl echoed through the stone, low and inhuman. The floor tile beneath us dissolved, dropping us onto the cold maze floor with a bone-jarring thud. We stood, breathless, as the game appeared at our feet, now etched into the maze floor. The dice rattled once more, unbidden. The walls around us shifted like living things, bricks grinding against each other. The words that appeared this time read, "The first to reveal a truth moves forward, the other stays." My mind spun. Maya looked at me, eyes wild, terror mingling with fury. "I'm not telling it anything else," she shouted, voice cracking. But the walls closed in, slowly but unmistakably, bricks grinding like giant teeth preparing to crush us. The shadows crawled up the walls, whispering our names with sick delight. My chest heaved. I forced myself to speak. I wished my mom wouldn't come home sometimes. I wanted her gone because I hated being alone, but I hated when she was here even more. The maze groaned. The bricks halted their advance around me. My section of the floor brightened, forming a clear path forward. Maya stood frozen, the walls near her continuing their relentless crawl. Her eyes brimmed with tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered, voice so small I almost missed it. I've tried to end it more than once." The walls around her froze. A new path unfurled beneath her feet, converging with mine ahead. The board hovered between us on the path, pulsing with fresh words. "Fear brings the hunt. Stay silent to escape." A distant roar shook the maze. The lanterns flickered. We broke into a run, darting through the shifting corridors. Behind us, heavy footfalls pounded the stone. I stole a glance over my shoulder and saw a monstrous thing, all shadows and claws, eyes like burning coals, surging after us. It moved impossibly fast, scraping deep gouges into the stone walls. We rounded a corner and slammed into a dead end. The path behind us twisted, the walls reconfiguring to trap us. The game appeared at our feet again, words flashing urgently. "Roll or be consumed." I grabbed the dice with trembling hands and hurled them. They clattered against the stone, landing on 2 and 5. The game's surface split open beneath us, and we fell through into cold darkness. We landed in a sprawling library with ceilings so high I couldn't see where they ended. Endless bookshelves stretched in every direction. Some books were familiar. My old school journals, notes I passed to Maya, diaries I didn't even remember keeping. Others were impossibly ancient, bound in cracked leather, titles written in languages I couldn't read. A lantern hanging from an unseen ceiling flickered to life, illuminating a new message on the floor. "Find the Book of Forgiveness before time runs out." A distant clock began to tick, slow at first, then faster and faster. Shelves rearranged themselves with a grinding roar, towering stacks blocking paths and opening new ones. We sprinted down the aisles, scanning titles: regret, shame, fear, lies. Each book we touched burst into a cloud of black mobs. The ticking grew deafening. I tripped over a fallen book, sprawling across the marble floor. Maya yanked me to my feet. "There!" she cried, pointing to a glowing white book floating above a pedestal. We bolted toward it. A monstrous hand burst from a shelf, claws groping for us. I dove, grabbing the book as the clock's final tick slammed through the air like a gunshot. The world froze. The shadows crumbled around us. The board appeared at our feet again, a new message bleeding across its surface. Advance by confrontation. The library dissolved, and we found ourselves in a vast carnival ground under a blood-red sky. Rides creaked and groaned in the distance. A carousel turned slowly, its horses twisted and skeletal. The Ferris wheel rotated with shrieks that sounded like human cries. The game hovered before us, words shining like neon. "Face the mirror house." The entrance loomed ahead, black and cracked, mirrors reflecting endless versions of ourselves. Some tall, some hunched, some smiling with too many teeth. We stepped inside, and the air changed instantly. Cold, heavy, pressing down on us. Each mirror showed memories. Me screaming at Mom, Maya curled up crying on the school bathroom floor, moments we'd buried deep. But some mirrors showed things that had never happened. Me pushing Maya down the stairs, Maya standing over my bed with a knife. I knew they were lies, but the images twisted something inside me. "Don't look!" Maya shouted, but I couldn't help it. One mirror showed me sitting alone, old and broken, eyes empty. Another showed Maya's funeral, her wrists bandaged beneath white flowers. Each step deeper into the maze of mirrors felt like drowning. The board appeared at the heart of the mirror house, floating above a pedestal of cracked glass. The words were brutal: shatter the truth or be trapped forever. Dozens of mirrors around us pulsed with sickly red light. A sledgehammer appeared beside the board. We realized what it wanted. One of us had to choose a mirror to destroy. But which was the truth we had to break? We argued, desperate, the monstrous reflections clawing at the glass. Finally, Maya raised the hammer and swung it at the mirror showing her funeral. The glass exploded in a roar of shattering reality. The mirrors dissolved, walls crumbling like sand. We stood in silence, hearts pounding, staring at the board's new words. Final game, the sacrifice of memory. The shattered mirror house fell away like glass in a storm, and we landed hard in darkness. My head rang. The board hovered above us, glowing with a pulsing, sickly light. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the dice rolled themselves with a hollow clatter. They stopped, 3 and 6. Words burned across the board. The game will choose. We stared, waiting for the next command, but the board's letters blurred, then snapped into a new message. Sacrifice another's memory to continue. My blood turned to ice. I looked at Maya. She looked at me. The board flickered, projecting images around us. Moments of Maya's life, her dad holding her as a baby, her first day of kindergarten, the day we met. "No," Maya whispered. "Please, Eli." The board's glow brightened, shadows stretching from its edges, clawing at the images like hungry hands. A voice boomed around us, not from the board, but from the darkness itself, hollow and ageless. Sacrifice or perish. I felt something behind me. Turning, I saw her, the veiled old woman from the garage sale, standing impossibly tall, her face hidden beneath endless folds of black lace that fluttered in an invisible wind. She was inside the game. Her voice, thin but ringing with unnatural power, echoed, "Every game must be fed. Choose." The shadows shifted, showing glimpses of other cursed items. A locket bleeding smoke, a doll stitched with human hair, a mirror swirling with faces screaming silently. I realized these were other objects she'd collected, other games, other traps. The air pressed on my chest like stone. I raised my hand toward Maya's memories, tears blurring my eyes. The shadows twitched eagerly, but Maya stepped forward, voice trembling but resolute. "Take mine," she said. "Take what you want, just let him go." The board's glow flared white-hot. Maya's memories ripped from the images around us, spiraling into the board. She gasped, eyes flickering with confusion. Where am I?" she whispered. My heart broke. She looked at me like I was a stranger. The board wrote, "Sacrifice accepted. Continue." The darkness split open like a zipper, revealing a barren desert lit by a bloated blood-red moon. Black sand stretched in every direction, dunes shifting as if breathing. The board hovered ahead, waiting. Words unfurled like a banner. "Walk the wasteland" without speaking. We stepped forward. The sand hissed under our feet. Shadows slithered just beneath the surface, brushing our ankles with cold fingers. A soft weeping echoed across the dunes. I realized Maya was the one crying, silently, tears tracking down her cheeks even though she didn't remember why. Halfway across the dunes, the sand surged upward, forming towering shapes, figures from our lives, monstrous and distorted. My mother's face appeared, her mouth torn into a grotesque grin. Maya's father loomed beside her, eyes empty. They screamed soundlessly, clawing at us. I grabbed Maya's hand. She flinched, recoiling from my touch, confusion turning to terror. The figures advanced. The board appeared between them, words flashing frantically, silence or death. I bit down on a scream as the twisted forms lunged. We ran, hearts hammering, shadows nipping at our heels. The desert fell away like sand in an hourglass, and we collapsed onto a polished marble floor. An endless dining hall stretched ahead, chandeliers of bone hanging from the ceiling, candles dripping black wax. A long table ran the length of the hall, laden with rotting food and goblets of something thick and dark. Figures in tattered formal wear sat at the table, heads bowed. Some had animal skulls instead of faces. Others had empty eye sockets that turned to follow us. The board floated over the table, words pulsing, feast or starve. Plates appeared before us, each bearing something personal, my old teddy bear's button eye, a picture of Maya and me in 3rd grade, a charm bracelet I'd given her. The voice of the veiled woman boomed, "Eat your past, or let it devour you." I picked up the photo, bile rising in my throat. The figures at the table began to twitch, hands drumming the table like 1,000 scuttling insects. I forced myself to bite into the photo. It dissolved on my tongue with the taste of burnt hair and ashes. Maya hesitated, eyes darting. The figures rose from their seats, their movements jerky, marionettes dancing on invisible strings. She grabbed the charm bracelet and shoved it into her mouth. The figures collapsed back into their chairs, limp and silent. The board wrote, "One final roll." The dice lifted into the air, spinning faster than ever before, glowing so brightly I had to shield my eyes. They crashed down on the board. 1 and 1. Snake eyes. Final sacrifice. The floor split beneath us. the dining hall folding into itself like paper. We fell into a swirling void, stars burning around us, black lightning crackling across impossible distances. The veiled woman drifted through the void, towering and endless, her voice filling the universe. You have played well. The game is never over. It only changes players. I reached for Maya, but she was already drifting away, her eyes empty. The game appeared in her hands, its surface cracked, pulsing weakly. She vanished into darkness. I landed hard in my bedroom. It was morning. Birds sang outside. The board sat on my desk, pristine, no sign of cracks or burns. I staggered to my feet, mind spinning. I ran to Maya's house. Her mom answered the door, smiling politely. "Can I help you?" she asked. "Is Maya here?" I gasped. The woman frowned. "Maya? I don't know any Maya, sweetie." I backed away, heart pounding. I turned and saw the veiled old woman standing at the end of the street, watching. The board was tucked under her arm. She raised a bony hand and waved slowly, almost kindly. Then she turned and walked into the morning mist, her silhouette dissolving like smoke. The board was gone, but I knew it wasn't over. Somewhere, another kid would find it. The game must go on.